Hey, welcome. Today we're diving into a really fascinating framework for finding inner peace and, genuine contentment. And the source for all this? Well, it comes from a surprisingly practical letter written almost 2,000 years ago by the Apostle Paul to the church in Philippi. I mean, who doesn't feel this way sometimes, right? There's just this constant pressure, this background hum of anxiety, this feeling that things are kind of spinning out of control. It feels like it's just part of life these days. But what if the answer wasn't some new productivity hack or app, but something much, much older? And that's exactly what we're going to explore. Now, this isn't a sermon, not at all. Think of it as an explainer, a deep dive into a powerful set of ideas for tackling one of the most basic human challenges there is. How do you find real peace in a world that feels completely chaotic? Okay, so let's set the stage a little. We're all looking for that lasting sense of peace. We try mindfulness. We try decluttering our homes. We try all sorts of things. But that deep feeling of unease, it often just sticks around. And the text we're looking at today, it jumps right into the heart of this problem. This could have been ripped from a headline just this morning, couldn't it? But it's actually a feeling the author of our source text knew really, really well. The letter just flat out acknowledges this feeling of being let down by the world, this sense that things are broken. It basically confirms that, no, this is not a new 21st century thing. It's a timeless part of being human. So the big question is, why do we feel this way? Well, the text offers a pretty straightforward diagnosis. It basically argues that our anxiety is directly tied to where we decide to put our focus. So let's unpack what that actually means. Okay, so according to the text, the whole problem starts with the examples we see all around us. We're constantly being told to focus on stuff that doesn't last. Status, possessions, momentary pleasures. The author's really blunt about it. He says this way of thinking makes our own belly, or our appetites, our God. And this worldview, which he calls being enemies of the cross, is presented as a direct road to being unhappy. Now this is where it gets really interesting because it draws such a stark contrast between these two perspectives. On one side, you've got this focus on your own appetites, on earthly things, which the text says leads to destruction. But on the other side, you have a totally different identity. It's about looking toward a divine ruler, waiting for a savior, and hoping for a future transformation. It's a fundamental choice about where you put your ultimate hope. And that brings us right to the core solution that the text proposes. It isn't just about thinking happier thoughts. Nope, it's about a radical shift in your most basic, fundamental identity. The text calls this concept citizenship in heaven. And let's be super clear here. This isn't about physically being somewhere else. It's a mindset. It means your core identity, your sense of who you are, and your ultimate hope, they aren't tied to the governments or the economies or the social scenes around you because you see yourself as a citizen of something way bigger and way more permanent. And this citizenship, it comes with some pretty incredible perks, as the text describes them. The really crucial point is that this whole perspective offers this deep hope that goes way beyond our daily struggles. It's a promise of a future where our current physical limits, things like sickness, aging, and even death itself, are totally gone, replaced by a transformed, amazing existence. Okay, so that's the big picture, the high-level idea. But how does this actually work in your day-to-day life? I mean, how does this heavenly citizenship help when you're stressing out about a work deadline or worried about the future? Well, the text gets super practical and gives us an actionable process. This single sentence right here is the foundation for everything. It's a straight-up command. Be anxious for nothing. But it doesn't just leave you hanging there. It immediately gives you a 3-part alternative to worrying. So here it is, broken down. Step 1 is a conscious choice. You have to decide to stop that cycle of anxiety. Step 2 is to replace worry with action. Take your specific needs, your worries, your supplications, and bring them directly to God. And then there's step 3, which is absolutely crucial. Wrap the whole thing in thanksgiving. This reframes the entire conversation from one of just desperate need to one of grateful trust. So what's the result of this whole process? It's something the text calls the peace of God. And it's described not as just a fleeting good mood, but as this deep inner stability that almost doesn't make sense logically. It surpasses all understanding. And I just love this metaphor from the text. This peace acts like a garrison of soldiers, literally standing guard over your heart and your mind, protecting them from being invaded by anxiety. So we have an antidote for anxiety. But the text actually goes one step further. It moves beyond just managing worry to actively cultivating a deep, lasting contentment no matter what your circumstances are. And this right here is the key. The peace you get from that process isn't automatic. You have to guard it. And the main way you do that, according to the author, is by being incredibly intentional about what you let your minds dwell on. Your thoughts are basically the gatekeepers of your peace. And this is brilliant because he gives us a specific filter to use. He says to intentionally fill your mind with these things. So instead of dwelling on all your worries or all the negativity out there, you actively choose to meditate on whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, and admirable. It's like a practical training program for your mind. Now, the author Paul doesn't just throw this out there as a nice theory. He says, look, I've road tested this myself. He claims he's learned the secret to being content in literally any and every situation. It didn't matter if he had a lot or a little, whether he was well-fed or starving, his inner state of being was no longer a slave to his outer circumstances. And this famous line is the punchline to that whole thought. This is the source code for that secret, the strength to stay content, to face all things. It doesn't come from his own willpower. It comes from a divine source that strengthens him from the inside out. And that really is the ultimate takeaway. The big secret to contentment isn't about getting to a place where your life is perfect and problem-free. It's about developing an inner resilience that allows you to face anything with a peaceful heart. So, we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. We spend so much of our time and energy trying to control our external world, all in the name of finding peace. But what if this ancient framework is right? What if true, lasting peace has less to do with changing your circumstances and everything to do with changing where you place your citizenship, your hope, and ultimately your focus?